The Consumer Price Index, which measures inflation rate, dropped to 16.0% year-on-year in August 2017.
Now, the figure is 0.04 percent points lower than the rate recorded in July. It is the 7th consecutive decline in the figure since January this year. Food price inflation increased by 20.25%, down marginally by 0.03 percent points from the rate recorded in July.
It said that the rise in the index was caused by increases in prices of bread and cereals, meat, fish, oils and fats, milk, cheese and eggs, coffee, tea and, of course, cocoa. But the Bureau said that, quote, all items less farm produce or cost-up index, which excluded the prices of volatile agricultural produce, eased by 0.10%, end quote.
Let's take a look at the inflation figure since January this year. Now, in January, it stood at 18.72%, and that was when there was so much panic amongst the people. Now, in February, it dropped a little. It was about 17.78%. In March, it was 17.26%. In April, it was 17.24%. And in May, the figure dropped 16.25%, and that's really becoming a little improving.
Indeed, and in June it was 16.10%, July 16.05%, and of course August 16.01%. And joining us in the studio is an economist, Kenneth Olise, to look at the figures for us. Good morning to you and thank you for joining us on the show this time.
Nice to see you.
Yes, cheery news indeed that Nigeria, the inflation in the country has been able to, reduce gradually 7 consecutive months now. How impressive is that?
It's very impressive, and not only that, we also know that we're putting out of recession. But you know that this is against the background that the budget, because the budget is the signpost that we'll be looking at. It was budgeted at 15.74%. So we are still not there, so to say. But it is cheering to know that we are moving gradually, downwards from up there where we were to, find our way to, if we can get to the targeted 15.74%.
Now, I'm glad you said that the budget is the signpost, yes, which drives all of these things. Yes. And if the budget has not been fully implemented, and not even up to 50 or half of the budget has not been implemented by 50%, and we're getting this marginal improvement, what is government doing that is really causing this continuous improvement so far?
Yeah, we must be honest here that the government is trying to, in this few 6-7 months thereabout, find its feet. The economy is responding in almost all the parameters. The exchange rate, the GDP, inflation now, and even interest rate. So when all these things are coming down, it shows that the efforts of the government, are beginning to yield a result. We were expecting something drastic,
exactly,
at least to take us to where we were.
Yeah.
But it is good that, not that we are stagnated, but we are marginally, finding our way, down from that obnoxious rates that we were seeing in terms of, all the parameters. Okay. Even the exchange rate we're talking about is about 360 something now. It's not good. It's not too high. But the fundamental responsibility of CBN is not necessarily bringing exchange rate down, but stability.
Exactly.
Fundamental responsibility of CBN is price stability. So when we are having all these things down, they will now begin to know that the next layer is to see how we can further force it down.
Exactly.
Because the desired destination is single digit.
Indeed, single digit inflation. That is
I wonder how achievable is that?
It's achievable.
The economy.
With this trajectory, if we continue like this, gradually, I think everybody in the government is trying to find it.
Yes, but if we continue like this, won't it take a longer period of time to get this done, to get it achieved?
Yes,
how sustainable really? And put it in mind that Nigeria could slip at any time into further worse inflationary rates if care is not taken.
you see, you now begin to look at the drivers. You know, what are those things that are making these, causing these numbers that we're seeing? One of the stubborn items there is food inflation, in food. And you see that in the Northeast, there's crisis. Even down south, you see the activities of the herdsmen are discouraging or affecting farming. Okay, so when and if government begin to take action and a meaningful and visible action on security, you understand that is impacting on farming, then you see that the food product by next time begin to go down. You go to petroleum, because when you're talking about, it's a basket. This consumer index is a basket of items that are consumed, including petroleum, education, tourism, recreation, and food and all that. Now, the food seems to be very stubborn here, but I'm telling you that it's because of the activity of, you know, these crises we're having over the place. In the southeast now, we're talking about IPOB. In the northeast, we're talking about Boko Haram. But petroleum product, you know, that is beginning. I think it's in Adamawa and Sokoto that you still have it over 200 naira, but in down there, Delta, Ondo, Ekiti, and Bayelsa, it's still below 180 naira per liter. Fuel, I see some places where they're saying 142. Well, I don't know whether it's just marketing tax or that, but at least it's not more than 145. So some of these, all these fundamentals, as long as they stabilize, and I'm sure that in the next intervention, they begin to find their way down. If all these are the drivers, if all these things remain or continue to find their way southwards, then this inflation rate will continue to go down.
The recent flooding in parts of the country, would it have any impact?
Yes, of course. It had an effect on farming. Anything that can reduce output, you understand, will reduce supply and increase the price. And inflation in general rise in price level. So anything at all, you know. Now, it becomes helpless when it's man-made, I mean, when it's a natural disaster, you know, like flooding you're talking about. And of course, we know to the extent you can control it, you know, by giving adequate information that they are giving. But for those other ones that are man-made, like all these cases of insecurity, and that is where you now need the government to intervene. But you ask me, why are we looking about this when the budget implementation is still low? Yeah, now you see that the budget, there are two types of inflation, major types. You have the cost push inflation, and the demand push. Demand push is where you have money, much money, which people are coming to demand products, and when much demand, the price will go up. But the cost push is where the cost of production is high, that people will want to recover their cost, basically, and if possible make money about, from it. Now, the thing that triggered the cost push element is the foreign exchange rate. It went as far as on 500, so it has come down. And if the central bank will continue in this direction, it is likely that it will come down, and that will begin to inflate the cost input. Again, the price of petrol, which is used for production, if they still find their way down, then that will begin to minimize, you know, the effect of the cost push. So those are the signals, you know, that could possibly over time reduce inflation down to the desired level. Yeah,
and what role is importation playing in all this, really, especially in boosting and tightening the economy of the country?
When you look at, if you go to that food, they're talking about, there are two types, the local production and the foreign type. If you are importing, as long as you are importing now and you are using foreign exchange to import, the foreign exchange component becomes the cost, important cost element. If the foreign exchange rate is high, you are bound to desire to recover it. And as long as it's high, it begins to constitute the cost push. You understand? So importation will always cause push inflation if the exchange rate is not northwards if it's upwards.
All right, talk to us about because in the figures rolled out by the NBS, they were talking about inflation in the urban areas also different from the one in the rural areas.
Yes,
talk to us about that. What
no,
are the
they're usually very measured. You do it, the CPI, then you can do the core inflation. That's where you remove this one's volatility. Okay. Then you talk about urban index and rural index.
And the rural index,
yes.
exactly.
The urban index is the consumption price in the urban areas compared to the rural areas. Now, let's take a food element. You see, in the urban area, that's where the food is produced. And they eat more of the things they produce. So their tendency
in the rural areas?
Yeah, in the rural area. Okay. Their tendency to buy is lower than the tendency of somebody in the urban area to buy. That is why the rate in the urban area, in the rural area, is lower. But in the urban area, you buy everything, almost up to, let me say, even the water you use, the pepper, every element, anything you consume, you buy it. So the demand from that's why I'm not talking about demand push. Yeah. Then demand in other urban area is higher, especially for food. I'm not giving it as example for us to drive it down. It's higher, than in the rural area. Okay. And I'm sure if you look at this index, the indexes, you see that it's still higher in the urban area.
Exactly.
Why it came down in the
rural area.
In the rural area.
So how important is it really for Nigerians, all hands really, to be on deck for production to be entrenched in the everyday lives of all Nigerians really, and of course for the government to take the bull by the horn to start projecting a life after oil so that production can be more
that should just be national cry. That should just be national cry. The economy, because when you're talking about all hands being there to produce, you are talking about tendency that will increase GDP in the first place. It's the tendency that will make people consume what they produce. Exactly. You understand? And when everybody is producing, it's going to influence employment. So there is it should be a national cry, as a matter of fact, that everybody, every element, every segment, every economic agent should participate in production, okay? So that not this rent seeking, so that all these economic indices will become favorable. Okay.
Now, the CBN, in trying to ensure there is forex liquidity for businesses and all of that, keeps defending the naira with lots of forex. Now, we see this relative stability in crude oil prices across the world, but how sustainable, we keep asking this question, how sustainable is this ability of the central bank to keep doing that if we're not seeking alternatives at this time?
Now, in one of the briefings that the CBN gave, he was saying that the price of the crude oil is going on. I mean, the central bank with the arsenal, to defend the naira. And I come to say that they have fought a good war. Central bank had fought a good war. Around this time last year, the thing was almost helpless. And it was even difficult for us to rationalize economically, the figures that we were seeing. Now, so I think it's sustainable. As long as the price of crude oil is high, which is the major source of, foreign exchange earning. And I must commend here the activities of the Agriculture Ministry. You understand? Yes. So if the two sides continue in this direction, the demand for foreign exchange will be reduced. Okay, then the available, the dollar, to give to the people who are looking for foreign exchange will be available. Then that is well, possibly this defense of the naira will be sustainable.
All right, isn't that what got Nigeria to where it is today? And of course, the possible crisis in the nearest future, looking at that, some countries across the world now are looking at life after oil. Some are already saying that very soon they are going to dump vehicles using fuel and they're going to adopt electric cars, meaning that at the long run, Nigeria's crude oil might be useless. And then the price, foreign exchange for the country might not be earning forex anymore for the country. So, and that was why I asked the question earlier about production and not depending your budget yearly on crude oil sale. So really, shouldn't Nigerian government be thinking about that at the moment and not depend solely on crude oil?
Yeah, Nigerian government, I think early this month, 2 factories by Olam was commissioned in the 2 factories, Olam in the north. One other one was commissioned, I can't remember the place. Is that there's visible action, in trying to diversify the economy. France, as a matter of fact, has said that by 2040, I'm talking about 23 years from now, not only will they stop, but they're going to ban all these automobiles that use gasoline and all that. So the threat is real, it's there. And we'll have to do more on research and development. We'll have to do more by diversifying even our thinking, our brain, to see that, look, we have had enough warning. There's a local adage that said that war, does not, they don't tell a deaf man, that there's war.
There's war. And
if you have enough warning, even the cripple will start running, before the war actually comes. I think we must be fair, to the international community that have given enough warning that, look, in 20 years' time, that's enough time, 2 decades now, we will not need that your product. I think this is enough period for us to diversify. And that is why we get worried when people are still agitating on these basic things. And that is more compelling reason why we should be thinking about even restructuring, not everything that can make us prepared, for the impending what's called adjustment in terms of economy.
But then would you be surprised, really, because Nigeria got ample warning on the countries going into recession, but there was no plan, just like Venezuela. And of course, we entered recession now. Of course, we are telling the story of slipping out of it right now. So how confident really are you that the government would prepare?
Because even this, everybody, almost everybody, can attest to this small signal of recession. Everybody have seen it, and what they're telling that what is coming is far, far worse than this. You understand? So I'm trying to say that we're not going to say that the situation where we find ourselves is going to overwhelm us, because everybody has tested, the test dose of what is coming ahead. So these are things that it's not going to be difficult now to mobilize the people, because they have an example to give them. Like, look, what has happened in 2016, 2017 is coming again, but this time around it's going to be in a very, very big magnitude. So
all right, talk to us about, is there a relationship between the multiple foreign exchange window and the inflation rate?
Yes, the inflation rate, like I told you, the exchange rate, like I told you, will constitute the cost push.
Okay.
It's all right. Now, when you have multiple exchange rates, multiple windows, maybe multiple exchange rates, now you are introducing, you will now allow speculation. It comes in. So I think over time, the first strategy to adopt is to see how you can harmonize all these windows. You see, there's one concern I normally have in our economy, that where there is exigency, we'll devise an intervention. But once intervention is done, we tend to relax. I know that all those windows were just intervention, by central bank to take care of the exigencies that occurred. But to relax and make them permanent windows is become unfortunate.
So they should think of narrowing them down now.
Narrowing them down and begin to review the things we use them for. I was once here and I spoke about funding, what is it called? People going on pilgrimage.
Exactly.
You understand? So we'll now begin to look at the strands of our economic activities and consumption, and begin to see those ones that will begin to shut down now. By the time you use money, that to begin to fund non-productive ventures that are otherwise personal activities.
Set scale of preference.
You understand? You are beginning, your choice, policy choice, it becomes questionable. And that is where. So all this are happening for everybody to see. That when you now tell somebody who is going on pilgrimage, that look, this thing cannot be sustained. Anyway, we'll do this one for next year, and next year we'll stop. I don't have any problem. This is subsidy we're talking about. There's lamentation at about 700 and something billion, about $2 point something billion is outstanding for oil subsidy. Okay, now this oil subsidy came in at the first time to intervene, to take care of the shock between the prevailing prices then. Now, since then, we left it. We all got lost. So it is high time we began to look at those things that we got involved, mainly by intervention, and begin to pull out. There are just so many things. I hear about this education. People are crying. With the same 1959 campaign policy of government of free education, free health, is what we are still doing for 20 years after. We are definitely going to run into a problem. If we did that because there was a problem of manpower shortage, it's understandable. But today, I don't think, now you have trained the people. They have no job to do. Why can't you divert and make people pay? If not full, let them pay part school fees. If they pay part school fees, all this constant agitation and strike will stop.
Yeah, there'll be revenue and there'll be employment.
Of course, and when you go to university, it looks like university. When you get to some universities, they're smelling, not kept. Because government had told you that this thing is free. and anything that is free, of course, you know, it's almost
not get attention, and
then
there's
infrastructural so we begin to look
deficits.
at our national life and begin to see those things that we did by sentiment, so to say, or by national exigency as at them. Are they still prevalent? Are they sustainable? Can we continue?
Okay. Yes. Kenneth Olise, thank you very much for coming and lending your voice on this morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Always.
Thank you.